the psychological impact of modern urban isolation, and why it's transforming global spirituality. You can live in the most populated city on Earth, be surrounded by thousands of people every single day, hear voices, traffic, footsteps, conversations, and still feel completely alone, not occasionally, not briefly, but constantly. And the strange part is, most people don't talk about it. They normalize it. They call it being busy. They call it adult life. They call it just how cities are. But what if something deeper is happening? What if modern urban life is quietly reshaping the human mind? And what if this silent loneliness is not just a psychological issue, but the driving force behind a global spiritual shift? Because across the world, people in cities are beginning to change the way they think about meaning, purpose, and even reality itself. And it all starts with one invisible condition: urban isolation. Part 1. The modern city paradox. Cities were supposed to connect us. That was the promise. Opportunity, community, progress. But something changed along the way. Modern cities are no longer built around people. They are built around speed, efficiency, productivity, survival. Think about a typical urban day. You wake up, check your phone before you even speak to another human. You rush into transportation systems designed to move bodies, not connect minds. You arrive at work, interact professionally, not personally. You return home exhausted. Scroll through digital lives that feel more social than your actual life. And repeat. Every day. The result is a strange contradiction. You are constantly around people, but rarely emotionally with them. This is called urban anonymity, a condition where you exist in public space, but remain psychologically invisible. And over time, your brain adapts. It stops expecting connection. It stops seeking interaction. It starts to protect itself through emotional distance, not because you want it to, but because it's easier that way. Part 2. What isolation does to the human mind. Loneliness is not just an emotion. It is a biological signal. When humans experience isolation, the brain activates the same regions associated with physical pain. That's right, loneliness hurts like injury. But in modern cities, something worse happens. The isolation is not obvious. It is subtle, chronic, background noise. You don't feel alone in the wilderness. You feel alone in a crowd, and that confuses the brain, because evolution did not prepare us for this kind of loneliness. Over time, this leads to heightened anxiety, emotional exhaustion, reduced empathy, social withdrawal, and a loss of meaning. But the deepest effect is not emotional. It is existential. People begin to ask, why am I doing all of this? What is the point of this life? And when that question becomes persistent, something shifts in human behavior. Because when meaning collapses, the mind searches for replacement systems of meaning. And that is where spirituality enters. Part 3. The disappearance of traditional meaning. For centuries, meaning was structured. Religion, community, shared beliefs, rituals, a collective understanding of life and death. But in modern urban environments, especially in Western societies, these structures have weakened, not necessarily disappeared, but fragmented. In their place, something new is emerging. People are no longer asking, "What should I believe?" They are asking, "What helps me feel whole?" This is a massive shift from collective spirituality to individual spirituality, from inherited meaning to self-created meaning. And cities are accelerating this transformation, because when people feel emotionally disconnected from their environment, they begin to search inward, not outward. Part 4. The rise of modern spiritual practices. Across global cities, New York, Los Angeles, London, Tokyo, Paris, a new form of spirituality is emerging. It is not centralized. It is not institutional. It is personalized. You see it in meditation apps, yoga studios, breathwork sessions, silent retreats, journaling culture, psychedelic therapy discussions, mindfulness communities, healing journeys on social media. This is what some researchers call DIY spirituality. People are building belief systems like playlists, mixing psychology, philosophy, neuroscience, and ancient traditions, trying to create something that feels authentic in a world that feels disconnected. But there is a tension, because not all of this is deep transformation. Sometimes, spirituality becomes aesthetic, a lifestyle, a performance, a way to cope with stress without addressing the root cause, isolation itself. So the question becomes, is modern spirituality a real evolution, or just a response to emotional deprivation? Part 5. Why cities generate spiritual searching. Cities intensify everything. They amplify ambition, comparison, stress, and speed. You are constantly exposed to people who are more successful, more attractive, more productive, more ahead. And without realizing it, your nervous system is always evaluating your position in the social hierarchy. This creates chronic psychological tension and eventually burnout. Not just physical burnout, but identity burnout. At that point, something interesting happens. The external world stops providing answers. So the mind turns inward and asks questions it previously ignored. Who am I without achievement? What matters if nothing I do is ever enough? Why does everything feel empty, even when life looks successful? This is the exact psychological environment where spiritual awakening or spiritual crisis begins. Part 6. The future of connection and meaning. So where does this lead us? We are entering a paradoxical era. We have never been more connected digitally, and never more disconnected emotionally. But within that contradiction, something new is forming. A search for deeper connection. Not just social connection, but existential connection. people are slowly realizing that healing is not just about productivity. Mental health is not just about coping. And spirituality is not just about belief, but about reconnection to others, to nature, and to oneself. The future of spirituality will likely not look like the past. It will be more personal, more psychological, more experiential. But its root will remain the same: the human need to feel connected. Because in the end, urban isolation is not just a modern problem. It is a reminder that humans were never meant to exist disconnected from meaning for too long.